Okay, and we are live for the fifth edition of Keep Calm and Carry. We have a very special guest tonight, and that is Jacki Billings. She is a wonderful writer that does a lot of great work for not only guns.com, but also for Shooting Sports USA, which is a publication that the NRA does. So I'm really excited to have her on there. And specifically, I'm excited to have her on because, you know, I like to broaden my horizons and understand perspectives that are outside my bubble. And one of those perspectives is what it's like to be a woman in the gun industry, to be around firearms. You know, what type of things have they seen from a woman's eyes that can be very, very different from a man's eyes. So I'm super excited to get into some of these questions. Real quick, right off the bat, if you guys don't already know, you can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All of that information will be in the description of this video once it goes off air and it uploads to YouTube, so you can definitely find me there. I am also still running a giveaway on Instagram for a Olight MR2 Warrior flashlight. It's a EDC flashlight, so you can be up for that. As soon as I get 1,000 followers on Instagram, we're going to give that away to a lucky winner. So we'll just go ahead and get that right out of the way. Moving on over to the chat room. Say hi to everybody. BR549. Hee haw. He was first in, so great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Naturally, we have a good friend to both of us here in Johnny 182nd Ideas. The Grim Reaper, always great to see you. Appreciate the support. Daniel, God is my judge. Good to see you as well. Alaskan Ballistics, Andrew, and Stephen Worth. Always some heavy hitters, some usual suspects. So I do appreciate that. So let's just jump right on into it. I'm going to turn it over here to Jacki real quick. Jacki, again, thank you for being a part of my live chat and Keep Calm and Carry. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Mark. I really appreciate it. I'm excited. So I'm a journalist, freelance journalist. Like you said, I work for guns.com and Shooting Sports USA. I've been working in the industry for about 4 years, but I've been a journalist for about a decade now. Started in newspapers and kind of made my way to the .com digital world after the newspapers kind of collapsed, and been making my way through that area since. So I love it. It's fun.
Outstanding. We're going to jump right into some of the questions real quick. Vis-a-vis CNN, tell me, how do you carry in all the dresses that you wear?
Oh, well, you know, as a poor little woman who is regularly, you know, barefoot pregnant in the kitchen, it's tough sometimes. No, there are lots of ways to carry, and that's something that as a female journalist, I try to get across to a lot of people, a lot of my readers, is that you can carry guns in all sorts of manners. So I do wear dresses, and I do carry in dresses, and there are lots of cool holsters out there that make it possible for women like me to accomplish just that.
Right on, right on. So the very next question I have is, what is it like to have gun dick?
Well, mine is definitely bigger. That's for sure. It's an oftentimes embarrassing thing, especially when you first start carrying AIWB. As a chick, you're like, whoa, that's interesting. But you know, I'll take a little gun dick if I get to tote around my Glock all the time. It's not a bad trade-off, I guess.
Well, I already know a question that I'm going to have a little bit later, but you are right. Your gun dick is bigger than my gun dick. So, so tell me about how did you get into being around and enjoying firearms? What really kind of catapulted you into the gun industry?
Well, you know, I grew up in Tennessee, and for those of you who don't know the South, it is very gun friendly for the most part. And So I just remember as a kid, guns were just part of life. My dad was a hunter. My dad was a concealed carrier. I don't ever remember a time my dad didn't have a gun on him. He would regularly go hunt and bring stuff back. I'd watch him skin rabbits and squirrels in the yard, and then I'd help him clean guns after he was done. So it was just something that I was always kind of around. And then I got married when I was 20, and I married a guy in the Air Force. And that's, again, the military community is very pro-gun. So in order to spend time with him, I would go shooting with him at the range on the weekends. And I found that I really loved it. I really had a good time. So I started going shooting on my own, just kind of to further my own skills. And that's kind of really where it started for me, for the love of guns.
Right on. Right on. So I'm going to divert my line of questioning here real quick to some of what we have in the chat room.
Okay.
One coming out, and you can answer it or you can turn it down, but this has kind of been a hot topic recently. And what are your thoughts on the recent news from Daniel Defense and their support of fixed NICS?
It's an interesting standpoint. I'm not sure I understand it. I am 100% pro guns in every sense, so it doesn't really make sense to me, and it definitely doesn't make sense to me from a marketing standpoint either. I don't know why you want to alienate your consumer base, but I guess they felt like it was what they wanted to do. So, free market. That's all I got to say.
Yep, absolutely. And it says Johnny jumped in here that they did a total 180 today, and that they are totally against NICS now. So,
of course, money talks.
So again, thank you for everybody who's jumping in the chat. Already see some great questions coming along, and we are going to get to a couple of those here in just a second. If you don't already know, again, this is Jacki Billings, freelance writer with guns.com and Shooting Sports USA. Great to have her here. I'm super excited to be able to get into some of the different perspectives in the gun industry, if you will. So who would you say has been your most influential person in your journey in the gun industry, or maybe just in life in general?
Well, life in general, for sure, two people stick out in my mind. The first is my mom. She's a very strong, independent woman, and she taught me what it meant to be a strong, independent woman. And I think she really was the one that gave me the courage to plunge into the gun industry. Because let's be honest, sometimes it's hard as a woman in this industry, in a male-dominated industry. I think that's for any male-dominated industry. It's hard for a woman. And so, the lessons that she taught me as a child, I carry through in adulthood. And I think it gives me the strength and courage sometimes to face the haters, if you will. The other person that was very important to me was my freshman English teacher, who was the first one who actually told me that I could write professionally. I didn't realize that that was even an option until she said that I could do it well, and I could make money doing it. So those two people really kind of set me up for a career in journalism. As far as guns, I would say, somebody that's been very influential is my editor at guns.com, Daniel Terrell. He took a shot on a nobody, basically. I was a journalist. I'd been doing tech reviews at that point, but I had never really written for the gun industry. And when I emailed in and was like, hey, I think I can do this. Here's my resume. Here's some tech reviews. Give me a shot. He really took a shot on me and let me try my hand at it. So if it wasn't really for him, let me get my foot in the door, I don't think I would be where I am now.
That's awesome. That is awesome. We're going to divert back to our chat room. One of the questions that has popped up from BR549 is, do you have any advice for getting a wife interested in carrying? She's not necessarily opposed to guns, he says, just not motivated. What would you say would be a motivating factor?
Get her around other women who shoot. I hear this a lot. I get a lot of guys who are like, how do I get my wife? How do I get my girlfriend into it? I want to take her to the range. I'm going to be really honest, guys. We don't learn well from you, from our significant others.
Indeed.
We get really nervous. We feel like you're judging us. It just does not, it doesn't work out. So my best advice would be try to find a range. And a lot of ranges are doing this right now. Try to find a range that offer a woman's night. Or women's only classes or something like that, and gift her a woman's class or a night at the range. Encourage her to go be around other women, because it's really empowering as a woman to be around other women who are shooting and teaching and helping each other. So that would be my advice, is to encourage her to make connections with other women in the industry.
Outstanding. That is a great answer. That's actually one of the things I wasn't even expecting and not even tracking, is the idea of get in with people that are like-minded, So great advice there. Great advice there. Let's see. Drew wants to know if you'll read his screenplay.
Talk to my agent. I'll send you his info.
Yeah. Well, I'll get his people to talk to your people.
Yeah, my people will talk to your people.
My next question, it actually lines up from what another one of the viewers here, the Grim Reaper, has, is what obstacles have you encountered as a woman in the gun industry? What has been the most irritating aspect of it? What was the one thing that really triggered you as being a woman in the gun industry?
I get triggered a lot. You should know that going in. No, I think the most frustrating thing, again, goes back to, any woman in a male-dominated industry will understand. It's feeling like I have to be twice as good and I have to prove myself constantly. For the most part, I would say the gun industry is doing a really good job. It's moving forward. It's moving in a direction that encourages women and is very supportive of women, but you still have some people who linger to some older ideas, who say that women can't shoot semi-automatics because we have, our delicate little hands can't handle it. Or, obviously a CNN proved people who feel like we can't carry because we're supposed to wear dresses all the time, and you can't do that. So I think the most frustrating part is when people tell me I can't do something, and it's like, dude, I already do it. And then again, just that constant pressure to prove myself, having people when I go to events feel like they need to quiz me on things, but they're not doing that to my male colleagues. When I go to shows, I don't walk around with my male colleagues because they get spoken to first and I get ignored. Or I am assumed to be the girlfriend or the wife. And that can be frustrating because it makes you feel unheard. It makes you feel not important. Luckily for me, I have a very strong personality, as you know, and I'm not afraid to bust up in there and show them exactly what I know. But it can be frustrating sometimes, and it can kill your confidence if you let it. So, but that's just a small segment. Overwhelmingly, the gun industry is very positive, and it is encouraging for women.
Outstanding. So, as a woman, as a mother, you have to be proactive in taking care of your family, taking care of your flock, teaching your kids and so on and so forth. What are some of the things that you have done as a mother to be proactive in kind of nurturing and bringing up your kids in a safe environment and so on and so forth on a daily basis?
Well, safety is very important to me. It's the whole reason that I got into carrying and why I continue to carry as a mom and now a single mom. Protecting my children is my number one priority. So I'm very careful about the way in which I store my guns. If they are on me, then they are secure in a holster that covers the trigger, that my kids cannot access the trigger cannot be pulled through the holster. And it seems crazy that I have to say that, but there are plenty of holsters out there that don't meet those requirements. So having good gear is number one. Number two is when my guns are not on me, they are absolutely locked away. I do keep quick access safes so I can balance that need for, a firearm quickly if something happens, but also that safety aspect. And the other thing is I don't hide it from my kids. My kids know exactly what I do. If you ask them, they say I'm a writer from guns.com. I mean, they know full on what I do for a living. They see me strap up every morning. Most times at night, they see me, take everything off. And I use those opportunities as teaching moments. I use those opportunities to teach them and show them safe gun handling habits, gun safety, and then we review. What do you do if you see a gun? If you're at your friend's house and you see a gun laying out, what do you do? We review those topics because I feel like repetition is very important, especially for young children. And I don't want them to ever be afraid. I don't want them to be curious enough to go look at something on their own. I want them to know that they can always come to me with questions about guns, and I'm not afraid to unload them and show them the parts of it, explain how things work, because I want them to take it seriously. I want them to realize how serious guns are and how responsible you have to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this kind of leads into a viewer question: is what's your opinion on the idea of your kids being in a classroom where a teacher is concealed carrying or faculty at the school is concealed carrying?
I'm absolutely okay for it, so long as that teacher is okay with it. I don't feel like we should force people to do anything they don't want to do. But if there are teachers who want to conceal carry, they have done the training, they have educated themselves, then I am perfectly fine with my children having teachers who are armed. I don't think that's any kind of issue.
Outstanding, outstanding indeed. So the just a recap here, if you guys are just joining us, we are talking to Jacki Billings, freelance writer, if I could even get it out, with guns.com and Shooting Sports USA. So again, Jacki, thank you so much. We're going to transition real quick into a rapid fire, because I know there's a couple people in here that are wondering some of these topics here. Real quick, you can either give me a one-word answer or you can expound. It's up to you. But rapid fire, favorite gun?
Favorite gun, Glock 19.
Yeah, there you go. Can't go wrong with the Glock. Favorite carry position?
AIWB.
There you go. For those who don't know, AIWB is appendix inside the waistband carry. So currently, right now, I know there's a whole laundry list and everything, but right now, right off the top of your head, favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh my goodness, Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn, you cannot. Holly Golightly is like, oh, my spirit animal.
Outstanding. Favorite book you read?
Collected works of Edgar Allan Poe. If you follow my Instagram, that shouldn't come as any kind of surprise.
Pour me a cup of coffee, if you will. So
I have it right here.
Oh, look at you! Look at you!
Oh, always nearby.
All right. And finally, do you stay active? Do you work out? Do you do anything like that? And if you do, what is your favorite?
My favorite workout is that one sit-up I do in the morning when I get out of bed. That's the most effective. I'm not an avid workout person. I don't like the gym, not a gym person, but I do run occasionally. I am totally a priss. I do not like to run when it's too hot or too cold, so I keep it to spring and fall. But I'll run a mile now and again just to get the blood going.
Right on, right on. Any chance you have your Glock 19 handy?
I have a Glock 19 handy.
Okay, okay.
I have the Gen 4. The Gen 5 is up right now, but I've got the Gen 4 right here.
All right. So. Have you done anything different with that one? Have you done any type of upgrades, or is it just bare stock?
It's bare stock. I need to switch out the sights on it. I just am too lazy to do it right now, if we're being honest. So I keep most of my carry guns, or guns that I have carried or do occasionally carry with, pretty stock. I don't change too much other than sights on them, because I just like to keep it simple.
Yeah, and in some cases that's actually a good legal case.
Right. Yeah.
So PSA for everybody: if you start changing things with your everyday carry pistol, it may hurt your chances of getting out of a lawsuit should you ever have to use it. Heaven forbid anybody would ever have to use their firearm in a protection type situation. But if you start doing some customization on it, prosecution could come after you. So FYI. So real quick, the sights that you're thinking about, which sights are you considering for your Glock 19?
Well, I have some Mepro ones that they sent me probably about 6 months ago that I could throw on there, but I'm probably going to get Trijicons if I'm being honest.
Okay.
So
okay.
I just need to do that.
have you considered the Ameriglows? And if you have, what would steer you to the Trijicons opposed to the iDots?
I have looked at the Ameriglows. It's just because I've never had Trijicons before.
Okay, all right,
I don't
fair
know.
enough.
Well, I mean, like I've said, like for people who don't know, I do reviews for guns.com as well, in addition to product news. So, I just kind of send stuff out into the universe and see what comes back, and I trade stuff around all the time. So,
Right on. Right
if
on.
anybody wants to send me anything, I won't complain.
Right, exactly. So let's get back to the chat real quick. We've got a few new people joining us. We've got 1776 or bust. We have a good dear friend, Sean Curtis, has joined us.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Sean, good to see you. We've also got American Made 1999. Waiting for my mags, sir. Do you have those done? I'd love to see them. Can't wait for them. But by all means, take your time. Take your time. No big deal. So, and let's see if I can just kind of scroll through here real quick to see what else has been happening here. Big Al, big surprise, is saying CZ for everything. He likes all the CZs. So there you go. And BR549 was very surprised that you didn't say The Notebook for your favorite movie. So
I actually don't like The Notebook. Sorry, I like Ryan
really?
Gosling, but I don't like The Notebook. It's too cheesy. Too much for me. It's too much.
What are your thoughts on the P365?
I really liked it. I got to see it at SHOT Show. I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I kind of want to get my hands on it.
Well, I pre-ordered one from Brownells, and let me tell you, I got to really just take a moment to talk about Brownells here, just real quick. I have never ordered anything from Brownells. I've always gone to their site and kind of researched some stuff, and then I hate to say it, but I kind of go over to Cheaper Than Dirt and pick it up because typically their prices are a little bit lower. However, I do know that in the past, Cheaper Than Dirt has done some pretty shady things, especially around the time that Sandy Hook happened. They kind of price gouged some of their products, and I wasn't too happy to hear about that. Even though that was several years back, still was pretty disheartening. So, quick story here. Talking with the wife, we were trying to figure out a new EDC for her. She has Micro Warrior hands. I think you have kind of the same.
Tiny hands.
So she is in the Micro Warrior clan with you. So we're trying to find a EDC for her. She had a P238, which is the 380 auto version of the Sig Sauer P2 or P938, which is the 9mm version. And the 380 just ended up being a little bit too snappy for her. So we started trying to figure out a way to find a 9mm that was comfortable for her in her hand. It wouldn't bang up her thumb knuckle right here. It really, she has a problem with the slide coming back and chewing that up pretty bad. So went to SHOT Show, saw the P365, and knew that that was probably going to be it. And if it doesn't fit her hand, we have a backup in the Kimber Micro 9, I think is what we're going to look at as well. She fit that in her hand. She liked it. So we have a fallback plan. But the great thing about it is I've got it on order. And if she doesn't like it, then it's coming to me. It's going to be my new EDC.
It's a win-win either way.
It is a win-win, right? So, but real quick about Brownells, they had an email go out that said, as a matter of fact, I think my brother hit me up and said, if I remember correctly, my brother sent me a text and showed me a screenshot of the P365 for $509, which is pretty cheap. It's actually even cheaper now. It's $499 on their website if you pre-order. The great thing about Brownells, since I had never bought anything from them, I was able to go in. They already had my FFL on file, so I didn't have to worry about sending them anything. Ordered it. It was quick. It was easy. And that happened on a Saturday night. Monday afternoon, I received a phone call. Typically, I don't answer the number if I don't recognize it, but for some reason, I was just being told, go ahead and answer it. I answered it. It was a Brownells customer service representative asking me some questions about the order that I had placed. Excuse me. And when they got done, they said, "You are a first-time buyer with Brownells. We always like to reach out to our first-time buyers just to make sure that everything is correct, make sure that your billing address is correct, your shipping address is correct, your FFL is correct, make sure everything is covered, and that we're good to go. And oh, by the way, your weapon will be shipping out by the end of the month." And I was completely blown away. I had never expected that to happen. I've never had another company do that either way. I have to tell you, I'm hooked for life. Brownells has my business until the day I die. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm super excited about that. So let's jump back over to the chat room real quick. Johnny over at 182nd. Everybody knows Johnny. Gun Jamadrani says Brownell rocks. You're absolutely correct. Brownells does rocks. Drew wants to know, do you like red dots on pistols and compensators?
I'm kind of neutral. I mean, I don't mind red dots. Compensators, I mean, I don't know. I don't really think I have an opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those tactical type of things. I mean,
Yeah.
they look great.
Like if you want to do that, go on with your life and do it. That's cool. I don't do it, but you know, do you?
I suppose that there is a function for it. I don't think I've found it yet. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, a good grip, a good foundation, thumbs forward, elbows locked out, just squeezing that pistol as tight as you possibly can should mitigate recoil as much as possible. So
fundamentals make a huge difference. Like if you can get that down, you don't need a lot of other accessories.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see, what other questions we got? By all means, folks in the chat room, please continue to send your questions. I'll try to get to those as best I can. I'm scrolling back just to check, take a look at everything. Let's see what we've got here. Holster ideas for ladies. That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there are lots of options on the market, which is fantastic because when I started shooting 10 years ago, there were very few options. So ladies are very fortunate these days to have a lot of cool things. Some of my personal favorites that I like, if you're in jeans and t-shirts, any normal Kydex holster is going to work. Just again, making sure that trigger is covered. You can't, access it. But if you're in dresses and skirts, obviously things shift. So some of my favorites are, I love Crossbreed's modular belly band because it gives you the belly band feel, but it gives you that Kydex holster part. So you can make sure that your trigger is covered and you don't have any of the issues that you have with fabric holsters, like it collapsing on you. So that's one of my favorites. I wear that running. It's really secure running. I do a Glock 19 when I run, like no joke.
Wow,
in that. And then if I'm wearing skirts, I will do that. Sometimes if I have a dress that I can't do like a thigh holster with, I'll even do the belly band with that. And a pair of shorts underneath for any ladies wondering how I would draw. Like the skirt goes over the head and you just go with it. Or the dress goes over the head and you just go with it. But for other ones that I really like are the Can Concealment. They have a hip hugger, which is a belly band style, but you can wear it lower on your hips, and it gives you 4 firearm pockets. You have 2 AIWB and then 2 kidney carry. And then you also have mag carriers on each side. So like lots of room to put stuff. And their fabric is really, it's like a military grade elastic. So you can't pull the trigger through the fabric very easily. Now, if you wear it for like 10 years, eventually it does wear down. And you do need to replace it because, normal wear and tear. But it's a really solid holster. I like it. They also make a garter holster, so like a thigh holster that you can carry inside the thigh or outside the thigh, which I use for dresses because it's just about the easiest thing that I can put, like a Shield or a Ruger, or smaller than that if I want to, in that. Ankle holsters are good if you're in long skirts or long dresses as well. So yeah, it's cool that we actually have some really good options these days.
Yeah, that's actually great. And as always, with ladies, you guys always have far many more options than we do. Typically with guys, it's just going to be a Kydex holster at the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock something like that, maybe a leg holster or something like that. But it's great to see that you do have those options with the different things that you wear. Sean Curtis, he dropped in and said, how do you feel about off the body carry?
Well, I hear about this a lot being a chick, because purse carry is, I don't want to say it's super popular, but I think beginners, especially in the concealed carry world, who don't feel like they can on body carry naturally go to purse carry. I personally am not a fan of it. I think there are way too many instances where you forget that the gun is in there. I know when I'm out and about, I'm really bad about putting my purse in the cart at the grocery store, or when I'm at the restaurant, putting it down at my feet. And that does me absolutely no good if something happens, or if somebody wanders by and jacks my purse. So if you do off body carry, if you can't find a way to on body carry, and that's the only way you can carry a gun, well, then you do you. But make sure you're getting a dedicated purse that is designed for concealed carry, that trigger is still covered, and that you're keeping it on you. So little hands, little kids aren't fishing things out of your purse, that you're not setting it down. When you're in the restaurant, it should be around you. It should be attached to you at all times. So, I think it has a place for some people who, for whatever reason, just cannot make on-body work. But I really caution people against it because it's not the most effective means.
Yep. Active self-protection. I did a video where a guy was getting attacked by several different people, and a bystander comes by and draws a gun from his backpack, and gets the altercation to stop, but then puts his gun back into his backpack, and the guys who had beaten up the perpetrators come after him and grab his bag, and is able to get his bag away from him. So
Right.
I'm not a big fan of off the body carry myself. If that's the only means that you have, then okay, I get it. But anyway, so I did want to back up real quick to 1776 or bust. He recommended the F8 sights. I guess they're very similar to the XS big dot sights, if I'm understanding what's going on in the chat here. And he just installed those on his Smith & Wesson Shield. Likes them a lot. I don't know. Do you have any experience with those at all?
I don't. No.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'll check them out though.
yeah, there you go. So I just wanted to make sure that I got his recommendations out there as
I'm writing
well.
it down right now.
Yeah, there we go. Awesome. I had another one here I needed to back up. The Kansas gun community has joined in. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Big Johnson Guns and Gear, thanks for swinging in as well. Alaskan Ballistics wants to know, what is the biggest gun you have ever shot?
Like the biggest gun, like handgun or rifle, or gosh,
I'm going to go with C, all the above.
That's a hard question to answer for me, because I go to a lot of media events, and so I shoot a lot of guns, and people just hand me stuff and I just pull the trigger, and half the time I'm like, okay, whatever. I've shot just about, I haven't shot a 50 cal. I'll say that. I haven't shot that. I probably have shot just about everything else in between though. Yeah, that's my answer. If anybody wants to loan me a 50 cal, let's take it up a notch.
Yeah, right. Let's go see if we can find a tank to shoot at. Yeah. So I know that you've done a lot of training. I know that you've been around the gun industry for quite some time. What is one thing that you're not good at and you want to improve on?
Rifle shooting. So I am a handgun girl. I have been a handgun girl. And I'll be honest, rifle shooting has always been something that I've been slightly intimidated by. So I'm slowly kind of starting to get to that area, and that's definitely something that I want to improve on and I want to get better at.
Outstanding. I just have to put this in here. Gun Drama Johnny looks like he's trying to start some little drama of his own, saying, I'm just glad all the boys are trying to tell Jacki what to put on her gun. Little lady is well taken care of, laugh out loud. She's a full-time professional in the industry, not someone's girlfriend. And yeah, you know what? That is very, very true. And I know that Johnny's just having a good time and having some fun. But I really like the idea that you are available. You're on social media. I'm sure that you would be very open to anybody sending you questions, appropriate questions, I might add. But
No dick pics, please. I feel like I have to say that. You laugh, but my inbox sometimes gets a little shady.
Well, I apologize for that. Not all of us out there are Neanderthals, but but it's good to have someone like you in the community that is somewhat accessible and is trained enough to be able to give some advice. So I do want to back up a little bit to what you were talking about when you were talking about um, improving your abilities with a rifle. Is there something specific that you're looking at to get into as far as rifle shooting? Is it more just like doing some type of defensive carbine course, or are you looking like long range stuff, or what are you thinking?
Everything.
Oh.
No, I have tinkered around with AR-15s. I mean, I obviously know the basics. I have to for my job, but it's nothing that I've taken seriously enough to do classes in. So yeah, I definitely would like to take some defensive carbine. But I was at a Vista event last year, and that was my first experience with long range shooting, and like I fell in love with it. It was so much fun, and so it's something that I definitely want to learn more. Right now, what's kind of stopping me is the cost of getting into long range shooting,
Sure.
and then the accessibility, because there aren't any ranges really close to where I am that allow you to do like really long range shooting. And I mentioned I'm a single mom, so finding the time and the babysitters necessary for me to like go outside of my area to find places like that to shoot have kind of stopped me right now. So I'm hoping to change that soon, though.
Great. Great. Just responding to 1776 here. Bubblegum is good. There you go. I don't know if you knew that, but 1776 likes bubblegum. So far, what would you say has been um, your most memorable moment in the gun industry so far?
Um, this is going to sound really vain, but it was probably the first time that someone knew who I was or
Mhm.
recognized me. So it was, I think, my second SHOT Show, and I was down in the dungeon, which, for those of you who haven't been to SHOT Show, it's the very base level of the convention center there in Las Vegas, and it's where a lot of the smaller manufacturers or the newer ones tend to be. And I was talking to a nice gentleman about his holsters, and I was taking pictures because I was going to do like a holster roundup for guns.com. And I mentioned that, hey, I'm from guns.com, here's my card. And there were some guys looking at the holsters next to me, and one guy whips around really fast, and he's like, "You work for guns.com? I read them every day. Which one are you?" And I was like, I'm Jacki. I'm Jacki Billings. And he goes, "You're a chick." And I was like, "That is an accurate statement." And he goes, "I thought you were a dude." And I was like, "Well, I'm sorry to disappoint." He's like, "No, no, no. I love your articles. They're really great. I love what you're doing. It's so awesome. I read your stuff all the time." So it was really exciting for me because I was like, "Oh, somebody actually knows who I am." Because as a writer, sometimes you forget that. I mean, you know who your audience is, but you forget that there are actual people on the other side of that screen that you're writing to and that are reading those articles. So it's always exciting to meet an actual person who, can say, "Oh, I read this article by you and it was really good." Even if they say, "Hey, I read this article and I didn't really like it." Well, hey, at least you're reading it. That's exciting. So that's probably my most memorable.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. I'm still waiting for that moment. I'm sure it will come very soon. But we've got the NRA show coming up here pretty quick. Hopefully, if everything works out, Johnny from 182nd Ideas, he'll be there, and I just can't wait to see people just swooning over him and his boa. And yes, Johnny, you are required to wear your boa at
You
NRA.
better bring me one, Johnny. That's the only reason I'm coming is for a boa.
We'll have the boa tribe. um, let's see. Big Al had a great question here. In your experience, I don't know if you've experienced this or not. Maybe you have some friends that have experienced or not. How does anti-gun women react to pro-gun women?
I have experienced this because I'm the kind of person I like to surround myself with all manner kinds of people. So I have friends who are extremely left leaning, and I have friends who are extremely right leaning. So I encounter anti-gun women all the time. Um, and I find it's very interesting because typically, on the left side, you get very vocal feminists, and I myself am a supporter of women too. So it's interesting when you start kind of challenging some of those ideas about feminism and how it relates to guns, because gun rights are women's rights too. I mean, it's a women's right issue as well. But I find that for the most part, I haven't had too much of a problem. I think a lot of the anti-gun community's thoughts come from a place of fear and just not knowing. They just don't understand. They've never been in a position where they've had to fight for their life or where they've had to protect themselves or protect someone else. And when they hear that experience from someone who has been a victim, it tends to change the mindset a little bit. And they're not going to go out and buy any guns, but at the end of the day, if I can make someone stop and say, okay, I can see why you carry, then I feel like that's worth something. That's good.
So Big Johnson, he wanted to be a little snarky here and says, if they're left leaning, just push them real hard and they'll fall right on over.
I try.
So let's move back to SHOT Show real quick. Outside of someone recognizing who you were, what has been your favorite piece of SHOT Show this year or years past? I mean, besides meeting me, I know that was a big highlight of yours, but
Sure.
but I know, no one cares about me. Anyway, but yeah, what's been your favorite experience with SHOT Show so far?
My favorite experience is the same every year. It's getting to see people face to face. One of the things that I loved about newspapers when I worked for newspapers was pounding the pavement, so to speak, going door to door, walking in and like talking to people face to face. You get so much more information from body language and tone and just things that you don't get when you're on the phone with somebody or you're emailing. And so it's always great to go to SHOT Show because I feel like a real journalist again. I'm pounding the pavement and I'm hitting booths and I'm talking to people. And it also gives me the opportunity to talk to, FFLs and get their opinion and hear, how the industry looks from their perspective. So the people are always my favorite part and the most memorable parts for me is just getting to talk to everybody there. And then, of course, seeing you, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I guess, whatever. Nobody cares yet. So, so with that, where do you see yourself at the end of the year? What would you like to see yourself doing? Some of the things that you've been able to improve on, et cetera, et cetera. When midnight hits on December 31st, what do you want to look back on and say, I accomplished?
Still being employed would be good. So far, 4 years running, we're doing okay. But no, I think a goal for me this year is to kind of put myself out there a little bit more. I've hidden behind my computer for a really long time, just doing the writer thing and not really looking at expanding into other opportunities. And, I would like to do more stuff like this, more podcasts. I've toyed with the idea of YouTube. I don't know. I'm old now and don't really know how to work these newfangled technologies. But, I think I want to build my brand a little bit more, so to speak. And, just see where that kind of leads.
Outstanding. Excuse me. Outstanding. And that's a great goal to have. We should always find something that we are passionate about and try to improve on. Improving your brand is something that we should, regardless of who we are, should be doing each and every single day. So, we got a number of different plates that we're trying to spin all at the same time, and trying to get better at that always seems to be kind of where we're at. So, let's see. Kansas Gun Community says you are welcome to come over and be a guest on the KGC live cast. So the Kansas Gun Community is something I'm going to break here real quick and talk about. Kansas Gun Community is a collaboration of a number of different people here in the state of Kansas. Obviously, myself. We've got Fort Scott Munitions. We've got Avalon Optics is out of Olathe. A number of different companies here within Kansas that a lot of people don't even know about, that they're on everybody's hit list and just really don't know about it. But they are starting up a live chat, and one of the live chats that they are going to put together is trying to get people that are in the state of Kansas, but maybe pull in some people that may not necessarily be in the state of Kansas, but may be able to share a different perspective on a certain topic. So obviously women in the industry might be one of those topics, et cetera, et cetera. So he is offering you a invite.
I've driven through Kansas. Does that count? Several times.
Yeah, when I was stationed at Fort Riley, one of my sergeants came to me and found out that I was a Kansas native, and they says, you know what the number one thing that's good about Kansas? And I was like, what's that? And they said I-70. And I was like, yeah, thanks, guy, appreciate it. Did you know that there was an I-35? We've got that too, so there's two good things.
Oh, okay, there we go. I'm glad we found two.
Thanks, Big Johnson. Appreciate you swinging by. Again, thank you for everybody that's been chiming in. If you have more questions, send them on your way. And Jacki, I'm going to turn it over to you. It's your floor. It's your chance to ask any questions or anything that you would like to do.
Yeah, of course I'm going to ask questions. Are you kidding me? What I do. So what would your dream job in the gun industry be if you could pick anything?
I would love to be able to work in any capacity for Geisley. I've had a chance to meet a couple of the gentlemen there at Geisley. I think they have a good stance on the gun industry. I think they take a very strong stance on not allowing any type of infringements on anybody's rights. I like that. I like the products that they have available for the market. They're expanding some of the products that they offer, not only outside of triggers. Now they've gotten into charging handles. Excuse me while I reach over here. I just got this that came in. This is their supercharging handle that's getting ready to go on my newest rifle. So I'm super excited about that. Johnny just did a review on their recoil springs. So they're doing optics mounts, and they're just all over the place when it comes to firearm accessories. So I really like that. And that's who I really enjoy to be able to work for them if I could ever find a way to make that happen.
Nice. That's pretty awesome. If you get there, hook a girl up here. Just saying.
I may know a guy.
You might know a guy. Okay. Let's see. Who do you look up to in the gun industry?
Oh man, there's so many. People are really going to really say this is lame, but as it stands right now, there's be two people. Both of these people have been on my hit list for a very, very, very long time because of who they are. I knew from the very start that they were very, very intelligent, and they were just great people to begin with. And first and foremost, that's going to be Johnny. I know that's kind of a lame answer for a lot of people if they know Johnny and I's relationship.
How much did he pay you?
He did not pay me one red cent.
Okay.
He's just, I mean, I've actually come to really, really have a bromance with him, to be honest with you. He's turned into, I really has. He really has. Outside of my BFF, Drew, who I've known him since the 8th grade. I mean, he's always got my six. Johnny would be next as being a very, very close friend. I truly admire him with not only his intelligence, but his quick wit and his ability just to make people laugh. I talk to him a couple times a week over the phone, and he knows how to pick a guy up if they're down, you know? So,
he's a genuinely good guy. Like,
he really is. He really is.
Yeah.
The next person that I really enjoy is John Lovell with Warrior Poet Society. I think that he encapsulates the everyday man and what they should be as far as responsible, gun lovers, responsible EDC people. He really melds the idea that there needs to be a philosophy of what it is to not only carry every single day, but also just be a genuinely good person as well. And he's able to marry the the philosophy aspect with the tactics as well. So I really look up to him. He's incredibly intelligent as well. And he reads, I don't know, man, he like reads a book every week, I think. So, you know, it is, yeah. Those would be the two people.
Okay, last question for you.
All right.
What's the hardest aspect of what you do? Because like I come from a writer standpoint and I don't understand the YouTube world. So what's hard on your end?
Well, so last night was actually a great example. So I just posted a video on this guy right here. I posted a video on a review for this. This is the Trinity Force Verus. It's a a pretty decent little red dot optic. I think it's a high value optic. It's got auto on, auto off features, a whole bunch of different things. Go check out the video. But shameless plug. But I had some great video from a couple weeks ago that I just could not get it off my phone. I had gone out to the range. I forgot my SD card for my good camera, so I had to run with my phone and get some video off of that. And for some reason, I just couldn't get it off of my phone and get it onto my computer so I could edit it into the video itself. So I pulled out every stop. I did every trick I knew how to do. I even uploaded the video to YouTube and then downloaded it into an MP4 file so I could put it into my editing software. And when I did that, quality just went to the toilet. And so that's probably the biggest thing, is the frustration aspect of it. The computer that I have is getting bogged down with a lot of memory issues at this point. So I've got to clean it up, and you got to constantly clean your computer to make sure that it's running as efficiently as possible. It's just it's a lot of time to put into a 11-minute video. So the video that I just posted, actually today is when I posted it. It's, I think, right at about 11 minutes, maybe a little over, a little under. And it took me 2 trips to the range and about 4 hours worth of time on the computer editing all of that. So that's almost a full day's worth of work on one 11-minute video. And that's probably the biggest challenging aspect of it too. The next thing I would say would be just trying to get yourself out there, get yourself seen, and to allow people to understand that you have an opinion, and that opinion may actually carry some weight with it. I'm not an expert by no means, but I have gotten some training. I have spent some time in the military, so I feel that I have a little bit of knowledge, not that I couldn't learn something each and every single day. So just trying to get your name out there, spending the money to get the SHOT Show, spending the money to get to range day or NRA or whatever the case may be, and the time and investment in those as well is another challenge that I'm learning to overcome as we speak. So yeah. Anything else you have?
No, I'm good.
Nope, you're good? Okay, so let's swing right back over to the chat room real quick. I want to back up and just check to see what we've got going. Let's see. We have one viewer right here saying they'll be driving through Kansas later this week. Well, you know what? If you do, by all means, hit me up, and maybe we can grab a cup of coffee or something. Let's see. Hey, I-70 is right next to my family's property. Well, if they need some help with deer this coming season, let me know. I'll get that taken care of. Big Al says, Ruger Precision 6.5 Creedmoor. Big news. I just bought one today. Yay! Oh, my bonus check came in, and I will, household 6, as we like to call the wife, says that, yes, darling, you can go and spend some money. So I was able to go ahead and pull the trigger on that purchase. So, all right, let's see. What else? What's your position on polymer lowers for AR-15? Ryan, that's actually a great question. I don't think that these have been vetted out quite yet. I'd like to see what happens with the polymer lowers over the course of maybe 5-10 years. I think they're still fairly new in the last 2 or 3 years. So I'd like to see them get a little bit more time with number of rounds put through it. We get into the 5, 10, 10,000 rounds, maybe up to 20,000 rounds. So yeah, I'd like to see how that works first. So great question, Ryan. Appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, please, by all means, if you're in watching, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Let's see. What else we got here? Put some rounds through it. Super cool. And don't need a Glock AR. So there you go. There you go. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I really appreciate everybody's time and effort to be here. Thanks for all the great questions. I really do appreciate it. I do appreciate Jacki. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that you've got a busy schedule and it's getting later for you in the evening. So thank you so much for allowing me to share this time with you. And before we get off the air here, I'm going to give you the last little bit to say your piece. Tell me where we can find you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. If you want more of me and my Poe mug, definitely check me out on Instagram. That's probably the best place to find me. My handle is ftacjack, FTAC_JCK. I try to post somewhat regularly. And yeah, it's probably the best place to find me. And of course, if you have any questions about women's gear or anything else, you can always DM me on there. I'm more than happy to help where I can.
Outstanding. So I'll have a link to Jacki's handle on Instagram in the description of this live chat once it uploads to YouTube's, and you can go reach her out there if you got any questions. You got a girlfriend, a wife, mom, sister, whatever. By all means, go send them Jacki's way, and hopefully she can give them some advice if they're interested in EDC or just learning about guns in general. So again, thank you so much, Jacki, for being a part of it. I sure do appreciate you being here. And again, this is Keep Calm and Carry. Every Monday night, I hope to have a new guest, and if I don't have a new guest, we'll just we'll go solo and just give this time to you guys, and any questions that you guys ever have, send them your way. So again, thank you so much, and we will get out of here. Have a great night and a wonderful rest of your week. Bye, y'all.